All these years, it's been you and me, linked together like notes in a chord, or simultaneous seconds, winking at eternity. All these years, it's been you and me, linked together, linked together, like notes in a chord, or simultaneous seconds, winking at eternity. All these years, it's been you and me, linked together like notes in a chord, or simultaneous seconds, winking at eternity.
Felix, I'm so glad you called. Your father's asleep. In his studio. No, I won't wake him if you don't want me to. I wish I had good news for you, but the doctor thinks he needs to go to sanatorium at Orsolino Locarno. He's taking the train there tomorrow. Perhaps the warmer southern air will... What? Yes, the mountains from Lake Maggiore and the flowers should be beautiful this spring. No, we haven't heard back yet from the Swiss authorities about his petition for citizenship. This terrible war, Czechoslovakia first and then Poland and Belgium next. I'm just glad we made it back to Switzerland when we did. I only wish you could have stayed with us instead of going back to Germany last summer. Of course, you couldn't leave your wife alone. But could she get home to Bulgaria after you with her family or with the baby coming? Very much, yes. I hope someday soon to meet your child. We love you too. Just please, don't take any unnecessary risks. Bye, my son. Goodbye.
Lily.
It was Felix.
How is he? Is everything...
He's fine. Busy directing a new opera. Insisted I let you rest. You never liked to talk on the telephone anyway. You called it the devil's box and made me put it in the pantry.
I didn't like it jangling while I was painting, but if it was Felix, well, perhaps he's better off with less contact. I'm such a bad influence.
Don't be ridiculous, Paul.
You used to worry about it. How was I going to take care of a child and paint at the same time while you were teaching piano?
Did I? That was over 30 years ago.
But
It doesn't seem that important now.
we managed, didn't we? Such fun. And later those puppet shows when I was teaching in Weimar at the Bauhaus and Felix was a student there.
That's scandalous.
I wouldn't have missed those times for anything.
How do you feel this morning?
Ready to work?
You are such a liar.
I want to finish that painting I started yesterday. I need to before I have to leave tomorrow.
You set yourself the goal of doing one piece for each day this year. You've already done that many in only 5 months. Isn't that enough?
I can do much finer things once I get away for a while. You've seen it these last few years. I'll rally again. I have so many ideas still planned out, and if I can't play the violin anymore, I have to play it something.
You're never going to grow up, are you?
A little late for that. When my own mother had that accident, she just sat in the wheelchair unable to do anything. But me, I can still move. And while I can...
I know, Paul. I know.
Here, help me go to my easel. I always feel better to be working again. Each time, almost as if I was starting over from the very beginning. From the very first mark you put on the paper, there, or maybe there, the universe is born. Beethoven knew this when he wrote the first half note of a symphony. Shape, color, balance, energy, spread across the unrestrained chaos of the blank page. That first point or line is like a seed that gives rise to wondrous, mysterious things. And so it is with a life. It took me a long time to decide. Should I be a violinist or an artist? I started playing when I was only 5. I thought it wrong. Legato.
rain, and then yes, good.
Of course, it didn't hurt to have parents who were both musicians. Father,
The one.
I was born in Switzerland, but Mother once told me.
Your ancestors came from southern France, or perhaps from even farther south across the Mediterranean.
Beneath brilliant Arabian skies.
That's it, Paul. I knew you could do it.
Thank you, Hans.
Yes, you see, Hans, his talent comes from my side of the family tree.
Yes, we're all fortunate we took the time to grace the insignificant pines of the Alps with their towering palm-like crowns. But I've no doubt the deciduous part of his heritage, my hearty German part, does him just fine, too.
This sense of myself as being many things made me interested in the variety of nature. When I would look at trees, the veins on the leaves made patterns against the sky, almost like fingers that could reach out to caress the face of the sun and hold hands with the rain. And I used to imagine fantastic shapes and faces in the marble tabletops at my uncle's cafe. I would just have to get out a pencil and...
Paul, eat.
In a second, Uncle Ernst.
The apples in this pie were picked only yesterday, and will make you strong, like me.
My father would say,
Yes, Uncle Ernst always was a big man. As a matter of fact, he's the biggest man in town.
but of course instead I would say,
But, Uncle, I'm full. And look,
Where?
right there, don't you see?
What, on your paper? I see nothing but an upside-down witch with one large white earring.
No, Uncle, it's an old man smoking a pipe. See, he's squinting at the moon.
Oh, of course, now I see it. Wonderful. Now just eat. This old man prefers strudel to the moon.
other times I thought, maybe I should become a poet. I particularly liked the Greek writers that I learned to read in the original language in school, and later Goethe, Baudelaire, and Rilke, who I never could have imagined would someday become my friend. And I wrote romantic poems, sometimes to the girls I loved.
Oh, the glittering stream thunders down the mountain green. Won't you love me before the spring is through?
That's enough, Helene,
The
thanks.
silver mist rises like steam from the snowy peaks, and my heart is full of you.
Really, I said enough.
And then one day, when I was maybe 12, I was trying to draw the way the autumn sun shone through the curtains of my bedroom. I was standing there mesmerized, and I knew. If I worked hard enough, I could become an artist. And anything I could impress an image upon could be my canvas. It didn't matter. Paper, zinc, glass, and the darker the ink, the better. It was almost as if I dreamed in infinite shades of black and white, dreaming of my dear grandmother. She was the first to read to me from picture books and give me drawing paper and crayons to copy pictures from a calendar. And that I loved to hear the fairy tale worlds her voice conjured up.
La da da, la da da, la da da da, la da da, la da da da, la da da da.
After Grandma died, I drew pictures of demons, and then dreamed that those same demons were peering into my window at night. And so, at the age of 5, feeling like an orphaned artist, I started to learn to play the violin. Maybe that would help to draw those demons off again. From the very beginning, I was playing away my terror, playing away my grief. But if that didn't work, I would pick up a pencil and try to capture images of cave fishes that looked like fairies perched on a reed, or places in my hometown.
Oh, the house to see from the cathedral.
The medieval clock tower with its spires, double clock faces. Where the river curved and how the city is embraced at night.
Oh, darling, you have to wake up. It's time for school.
Yes, Mother? Will Father be having breakfast with us today?
No, dear, he has to test some new girls to see where to place them for voice lessons. Where do you go when you draw?
Where do you go when you play the piano? Into the past, perhaps?
You're so young. What do you know of the past?
It's all around us.
Father's old suits hanging in the closet.
The patches of green paint showing through the plaster.
Oh, I think it is time for your father to repaint that wall again.
That plant on the windowsill.
It was just an empty pot last fall. The future is already there, whether we know it or not. And sometimes I feel like I've already lived my life, and
I have, haven't I?
Paul, speaking of the future, I really wonder sometimes
what, Mother?
if you will ever get married. I admit, you work so hard at your drawing, and you are careful with money. I have never seen a boy keep account books the way you do. Still, it will take a very patient girl to...
Yes, Mother. It takes time for things to grow.
And to die, and to be reborn.
Hurry up, son. You'll be late for school.
Hey, Paul, over here.
I saw you doodling in your notebook during algebra.
So what? I'd already finished the problem. And then something about that formula made me think even an oak tree has mathematical proportions. Where are you off to today?
You know, this cafe for some pie. What else do I go after school? But not just yet. I thought we could take the long way through the meadow.
The meadow. The way the flowers look against the stream, no matter how dark or gray the sky. Yes, the meadow always was beautiful in the spring.
Was? What do you mean was? I'm talking about now, Paul. Today.
Of course, today. Oh, but I need to get going home. Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms are waiting for me.
Makes it very crowded in your house sometimes.
You can't imagine. Father's beard seems to get longer every year, and between him and the others, I mean, I've got to practice the violin if I'm going to play with the musical society this weekend, and then I need to catch up on my journal writing, and...
Hey! You know facts about the girls you love?
I love them all, don't you? I mean, you're the one always talking about becoming a sculptor and working on the female form. Oh, fingernail of Heliodora. Surely love sharpened you. Surely love made you grow. Just not your lightest touch transfix my heart.
Allegros the Greek. I know.
Give it back.
Of course. I was only joking. What are you always writing in there anyway?
Nothing much.
There must be something if you would skip out. Listen, I heard the girls say they were going to gather blackberries.
Are they? No, I don't really have the time.
Elaine will be there. She and the pretty girls.
Really, Glenn?
She likes the way you speak French.
That's only because she speaks it better than German.
Oh, gather you rosebuds while you may.
No, you'll have to gather them for me.
Whatever you say.
Oh, if you see Eveline, tell her that I love her.
Eveline? Who's Eveline? Paul, there's no girl with that name in our class.
I know, I've never met her. But she's so lovely and so wise, I love her all the same. Someday, I will remake myself. It will take careful observation, detailed planning, and diligent correction of my faults. Like preparing the glass of a vase to be etched. So delicate, and yet so strong. But someday, I will be worthy of the gloriously beautiful Eveline. She will turn my heart to things of the spirit and make me good and brilliant and whole. Yes, and then all the petals will be mine.
Paul! Where were you now, Paul?
Mother? Just floating on the stream.
Strange thing to say, child. When you were little, I couldn't get you to take a bath.
We about to teach you, but I'm much older now.
Your mother is not a character from some French farce called Where were you today, really?
Well, the light was beautiful on the grass at the edge of the water, so I was sitting in the middle of the bridge.
You're not trying to make a likeness of it all on paper. The violin is gathering dust. Like to draw better than playing music?
It's not that I like it better. I just have to draw.
Music can accomplish so much more. Make visible what cannot be seen but ought to be praised.
I know. That's why I want to make my drawing do the same.
Ridiculous dream, Paul.
We can't help what we dream. Any more than we can help falling in love.
Yes, and how many times have you fallen in love this week, dear?
Oh, Only once? Well, maybe twice if you count the girl in the shop by the river.
Which girl is this?
You remind me of someone.
Yes, you remind me of someone too.
Do I? Who?
Paul, concert is next week, and I will be very embarrassed if the son of the music master cannot keep to the melody.
Oh, you know I'm good with the melodies.
But you capture the soul of music, really express it.
Sometimes I feel like the music is expressing me. Only I feel that even more when I draw. That's why I would like to go to Munich to study art.
But Munich is so far, Paul.
Not that far, Mother.
And there's no other way to get this art nonsense out of your system?
No, there's not. Oh, can I go then, Father, please? Once I learn the fundamentals, who knows how good I might become?
It might be better than hearing you complain all the time, but I expect soon enough, when you see how more talented the other students are, you'll come running home humiliated.
Perhaps. But so much of the great music was composed in the past. There's a new century coming, and I tend to think that the future will belong to the visual arts.
You hear that? He tends to think. I suppose it's better than not thinking at all. Aren't you going to say anything else, Ida?
Yes, I am. Just be careful when you get to Munich, Paul.
Does that mean I can really go? There's so much happening there. At the opera house, and the theater, and the concert halls too, Father.
And the women, I think that is what your mother's referring to.
No, just remember to dress warmly when you go outside.
No, you don't need to worry, Mother. And as for the women, Father, I'll be careful.
I very much doubt it. And I still think this is a mistake you will regret for the rest of your life. A complete waste of precious time. Oh, just go along. Just go along if you must. Excuses of the past. So I must be of the past too, is that it? You must be of the past. Poor child. Should never have let his grandmother and mother spoil him so.
I went off to Munich with my friend Hermann Kohler to study art. We both enrolled in Knurr's drawing classes. Sometimes I felt I was really making progress, but other days it seemed I should return to the violin for good. Because I didn't just want to be a great artist, I also wanted to be a good and great man. But it isn't always easy to make the materials you use match your desires and dreams.
Hi, Paul. This granite has been giving me a bit of trouble.
Where does it come from, Herman?
England, I think. Somewhere on the north coast.
No, that's not it. That's not it at all.
Really? Don't give me your excuses, you ridiculous lumps of stone.
Oi, that's a bit uncalled for, me boy. Rather harsh, if I do say so myself, it ain't fair at all. Who's he think he is anyways, the king's uncle? I think he might owe us a little apology.
Quiet! Last time I worked with such rough material. Listen, all I'm saying is, you can do better than that.
Well, right then, if you insist, we must oblige.
Yes, of course, most certainly.
I guess we could manage to. How about like this, then?
Good. Now, really please, quiet.
Whatever you say, Gov.
You are the blow.
Shut it!
There. See? I told you. Just takes a little coaxing, yes?
Indeed, I am impressed. You've silenced a block of stone.
Yeah, I knew I had it in me all along.
The painter, Franz Marc, believed it didn't matter what kind of accent you used, as long as you were sincere in what you said. I studied life drawing and anatomy. It is important to get the bones right because they are the static foundation for any action. I even tried sculpting briefly myself, but the truth is, I often preferred going to the theater, the opera, and the ballet. I fell in love, I fell out of love, and then at a music soiree, I saw her at last. My Maline, my Lily. She was a pianist with family roots in Bavaria, and we were asked to play together. She didn't talk to me much that night, but I knew all the same, especially when we danced together at a fair a few months later.
sometimes for me to extricate myself from things.
Too busy with your work that you forgot to send me a Christmas present.
I didn't forget. I just didn't think it would arrive in time. It's Swiss tradition to give a gift at New Year's as well. And, well, since I started to read it, I hadn't finished it. I find Zola so depressing it almost makes me want to go to Paris. But didn't you miss me at least a little?
Of course. Maybe a little.
Then I don't see why we shouldn't make the arrangements, that is, as soon as possible.
Oh, stop. Every time we see each other, how many times are you going to ask me the same question?
Until you marry me, I guess.
But I never said I would.
You never said absolutely not either.
Well, maybe I should then.
Go ahead, I won't believe you. Lily?
Yes, Paul?
Yes? You said yes!
No, I mean ask me what you're going to ask.
Fine. Lily, will you marry me? Tomorrow?
Absolutely not.
Next week?
Certainly not.
Not even if I was older than you? Well, I'll ask you the week after that.
Do you think you'll be older than me by then?
I have always been old.
You've always been young, 3 years younger than me. Or have a good job, one that would support a wife.
There was a magazine that was promising to publish some of my etchings.
I thought they changed their mind.
But they could change it back. Lots of things change. You never know.
Goodbye. I have a piano student waiting for me in my house.
I can walk you home.
I don't think so. My father would like it. I promised him I wouldn't see you.
See you next week then?
Yes. I mean, I think I can make some time. What are you looking at?
Oh, nothing. Just for a moment there when you smiled, you looked like a little girl.
Oh, you don't need a little girl. You need a mother.
But I think you make a very good mother. Despite the disapproval of her father, I saw Lily as much as I could, and then I launched her home to her, my own father, pressing the issue.
Glad to be home.
Of course, Hans. Well, Mother seems glad to see me at least.
That's because she's tired of being here with me.
What was that, Hans?
Nothing, just that she's always pleased to see you when you bother to visit.
I'd come more often if I could.
Now we're going hiking with your friends for the summer?
I'll be home this week and another before the end of my vacation. You were the one who took me up to the mountains the first time, remember? We sat together at the summit, watching the colors change on the foothills. So many colors in the shadows at dusk. But some of my new friends invited me this time, so I feel
You
like a
mean
little
you're not going to see that girl again?
girl.
I want to play Mozart. Probably better than you. Watch my step, my son. If your mother hadn't been a musician, perhaps I would be single now, and I wouldn't have to put up with her constant criticisms. Why did that one student stop studying with me? What did I say to that girl in the pigtails to make her so upset? When am I going to redecorate her sitting room again? It's too drab, too bland. When am I going to stop smoking and drinking? It's hardly like an neighbor at all. She was always that way. Prompt under control over me.
She loves you, Father.
Why shouldn't she? She's likely to sing you when we first met. But tell me, this girl of yours in Munich, does she love you?
Well, I think so. I mean, I hope so. But you already know her father doesn't like me much.
Yes, he must be a man of discerning taste. But if his daughter has any intelligence, why is she singing you?
Oh, I know I'm not worthy of her yet, but I will be someday.
Really? When? You have a great gift as a musician. That's the way to support a life. Perform with your violin and teach. It's good enough for me. It should be good enough for you.
Father, have you ever felt you were good enough for my mother?
You want the truth? I'll tell you, but you must promise never to tell her.
I promise.
Good. The answer, my son, is never.
Never?
Never. I can play almost any instrument made by a man, but I've never been able to give that woman exactly what she wants.
What was that?
It's just it. I have no idea. After all this time.
Father.
Ugh, maybe if I had enough of this, someday I could convince myself I'm worthy of her after all. Well, I am gonna get some sleep
guess we don't.
Now go wherever you're going, or wherever you want. You should stick to painting fields of pretty flowers and sunset cathedrals, but I hope you get there.
Do you?
And don't stay out too late. Don't come back singing and wake us up like you did one time. Driver, driver, you are completely off key.
Well, I never had much of a voice.
No, fortunately you passed it while making that violin sing. On the fifth measure.
And so, to make my father happy too, and some money, I would play with the town orchestra when I was young. Sometimes while I was playing, my mind was sketching what I had seen during the day. Birds flying over the rooftops.
A cat prowling in the alleyway, turning to look at me defiantly.
Mother opening the door to meet my father home to lunch.
Hello, my dear Hans.
Good God, my God.
The sarcastic smile.
Her sigh.
The way the meadows at the edge of town seemed to blend right into the horizon.
The drunks singing off-key to the town clock when the group emerged.
The policemen in their stodgy shoes hesitating to round them up.
The mountains not so far away, beckoning to what might lie beyond.
I followed the rhythm, but my soul seemed to be traveling in open fields of light.
Oh, excusez-moi, monsieur.
Helene?
Paul, is it you only?
Yes, just me. What in the world were you doing?
Je ne sais pas. Looking at the water, I suppose.
You mean looking at your own reflection, Narcissus?
No, that is not what I know. Anyway, Narcissus was a boy.
I haven't seen you since we sat next to each other in 8th grade.
7 years, I believe.
That long? And all this time I've been thinking about you?
Of course. Who wouldn't?
I was always a little bit in love with you.
Incroyable. Were you?
Yes, is that so strange?
Strange? No. More like impossible.
You hurt me to the quick?
You can't hurt something that doesn't feel.
Am I really that wooden?
Well, not dead wood, no. Not completely rotten. But you are a bit green. And you always were rather cruel.
Now that's unfair.
How about the little girl with the leg braces you used to tease?
Well, I mean that I was only
You
6.
still should have known better.
I thought I kept that a secret.
You told me once.
Don't I get points for honesty then?
I'm sorry. Je pense que no.
But I'm not like that anymore. I'm dedicating myself to being moral and upright. And besides, that girl was ugly. And her mother so foolishly innocent, and well, I didn't think much of either one of them. That is, at the time.
So if I were innocent and ugly, you would have pushed me down too. Is that it?
Probably back then, yes. I told you I don't lie. That's why you should believe me when I say I've always loved you.
What exactly do you know of love? Love is not an abstraction. It's something real.
Thank you for the definition. I shall write it down in my journal later. But what if I want to love? With all my heart.
Well, I don't believe that wanting to love or even needing to love is quite the same as love itself. Do you? Besides, I imagine you have had a girlfriend in Munich, no?
Well, yes, 1 or 2.
I heard that you had a special one, that her name is Lily, that her father is a doctor, and that she's older than you.
It seems to me you know far too much.
So it is true then.
Perhaps. But what if she didn't really want me?
I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I need to get home. So if you would get out of my way...
Excusez-moi. Shall we bump into each other again in, say, another 7 years?
You never know. Or a fall.
À la prochaine, Hélène.
We returned to Munich. The satiric drawings I'd been doing since I was little had now emerged as caricatures. I was hoping they could make me some money, if not start to make me a name. The different parts of myself, my dreams and ambitions, now played out in self-mockery as I painted.
Get out of my way or I'll get you out myself. Get out! Get out! Get out! Get out!
Hey, so must you be so loud?
Sometimes it's the only way to be heard.
And sometimes sotto voce is much more effective.
I don't have time for this nonsense. The world is going to hell. And a hero can stand on ceremony.
A hero, you say?
Indeed, I am.
Well, good luck to you then.
Luck has nothing to do with it. Brute force will carry the day.
Well, I hope you're all right.
Oh, after you, good sir.
No, after you.
Age before beauty.
Fools before wise men.
What did you say?
Now, but it is abundantly obvious if you don't give the laws of gravity not to mention probability and the inverse proportion of active to passive forces, but very, very soon you are likely to fall on your face.
Really, my good sir, you must not take things so seriously.
Oh, don't.
You do.
I don't.
You do.
Don't! Shh! Do!
See, I told you so.
Oh, those clouds look so lovely in the sunset. Perhaps that means my beloved loves me after all. Oh, those flowers are so very pink. Perhaps that man I saw on the tram loves me too. Oh, those birds sing so sweetly. I wonder if that tenor from the opera knows me all in the front row. Oh, oh, oh!
My dear niece, I think it is time to take a journey somewhere new, somewhere less complicated, somewhere without men.
Oh, Uncle, you can't be serious.
Oh, no, of course not. Come with me. I'll take you to the back door station of the opera and happen to know the master of the company.
Oh, would you please? That would be wonderful.
And now, can't you all be a bit more civilized? I am trying to paint a picture. Oh, plein air.
I don't have time to stand here. I'm gonna have a baby.
Now?
Now.
What you can't. Tell the little takeaway a bit, will you please?
No, waiting. I'm afraid.
Go. Go away. You two, go away. I am trying to create a masterpiece here.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. But this one in here, he does.
Oh, how did I get into such a world?
Like everyone else, I imagine. You can't just run away.
No, I'm afraid you can't. Can I just go somewhere else? Please! Wait! Where are you all going? I said wait! Good job, Paul. You managed to silence a piece of cloth.
Dear Paul, I have played 2 concerts in the last month while you've been so occupied drawing your lovely nude models. I met another musician whom my father thinks a good match for me. There is sense to it, I must admit. He will have a good income, and his family also has a certain standing. You and I never should have danced so close at the spring fair. And I'm afraid you misinterpreted my feelings. I was just enjoying the music, that was all. Why can't you believe me? I have seen how your sister takes care of things for your family. I'm not so sure I'm willing to give up quite so much, so that you can be even more. Please do write, and tell me about the music you have heard, and anything else. My world is the orchestra and visits to my parents, and perhaps a coffee with that musician I told you about. But I hope to see you soon, so we can discuss these matters further in person. Lily.
6 years after I first fell in love with her, Lily finally agreed to marry me. And now engaged, we sometimes travel together. On one such journey around Switzerland, we met up with one of my old friends.
Sheriff Paul, is that really you?
Indeed it is. And this is
Enchanté.
Helene. And Helene, this is my Lily.
Vraiment. Professor Tom Eveline. What did you say? I mean, I understood your French, of course, but my name is certainly not Eveline. Oh, yes, I know, but I'm so pleased to meet you. I've heard so much about you, and have you? Well, not so much from Paul. He and I usually only cross paths, him going here, me going there, bumping into each other, say every 7 years.
Yes, Helene suddenly reappears in my life like a swarm of locusts. And for a moment I can hardly see anything else.
What a very flattering image for such a pretty woman. Merci. He does have a funny way of being charming. Try out his own. Absolutely not. I can see now why he wants to keep you a secret. Probably just what the doctor ordered.
Well, her father is a doctor, and I think he had another prescription in mind altogether. But fortunately, Lily has a mind of her own.
Sanju, I bet she does.
I bet you can tell me all kinds of things about Paul when he's little.
Oh, indeed I could. I remember this one time in school, he made a biggest fuss.
Helen?
I always thought he was a little too outgoing for his age. But now that I see him with you, I think that maybe, perhaps, he has changed.
For the better.
I'll have you know I've worked very hard on myself.
Of course, you would have had to, given how much there was to do. But I perhaps discern a slight improvement. I am happy for you both. So, tell me about your travels.
Oh, well, my father tried again to keep us from meeting.
Yes, this time he used the excuse that there have been a few cases of typhus and burn, as if being with me was likely to be a fatal mistake.
Yes, well, I do believe we may be together till the end.
Sounds very romantic.
But for now, we're planning to go to Geneva.
And will you be doing any concerts together? Tell me, what is it like to play with such a genius?
Sublime, as long as he remembers the piano is the heart of the music.
Perhaps, but without the violin there can be no soul.
This does sound like an argument that could go on for a lifetime. Come, let's go for some coffee. I want to hear more and more.
And so my youth was composed of very precise but complex lines, sometimes recrossing each other at unexpected places, but all converging on the horizon of my future. Like the rails at the station in Bern, taking me from Switzerland to Germany and to see the world. Because after 3 years of studying in Munich, and knowing now that Lily before long would be mine, I decided it was time to see something of the world.
All aboard! All aboard Verona!
Hurry up, Paul! We missed the train!
I'm coming, Herman, I'm coming!
We traveled to Italy, to Genoa, Pisa, and then to Rome. The Sistine Chapel. I thought I'd never get to see it.
So, Paul, what do you think of Michelangelo now?
And my father would say,
I wouldn't let him paint my ceiling.
I wonder though, how did he paint all the way up there? He must have had wings.
His line is remarkably self-assured, don't you think?
Yes! He charges even a simple curve with energy and motion. But sometimes I think it is best to leave the past behind.
I preferred Leonardo or the supple colors of Tintoretto, enough to warm my heart long into the cold and dark. And then, at the aquarium in Naples, I was delighted to watch the fish swim through the eerie blue light of their tank.
Mom, look at that angelfish. She's staring right at us.
Yeah, I think you're right.
What do you call that kind of fish there?
I don't know. It is rather unusual.
The aquarium had a sky at twilight feel about it, as if a flock of birds had soared straight down from the clouds to glide through the deep. Their wings like fins, their scales like bits of fallen stars. They shimmered and glowed.
Yellow and gold and pink and green. So beautiful.
Their eyes so familiar, and yet so far away. And then, all of a sudden, the octopus began to remind me of an art dealer I once met in Munich.
Oh, my dear Paul!
Those last paintings you showed me.
We're just quite delicious!
Thank you.
Very tasty indeed, I would say.
Thanks.
But don't you think
Now and then.
you could paint an ordinary landscape?
Well, I could, but I could also show you it, please.
Try another recipe, perhaps.
Forgive me, but that's still late.
A tree. A hillside. Even perhaps don't be scandalized, young sir. A scene of
married in the town hall in 1906, and a year later, our son Felix was born. We moved into a small apartment in Munich, one room for Lily's piano lessons while I painted in the kitchen. And as Lily would say, now there could be 2 children at home, drawing and playing together all day long.
Dear Father, they promoted me to lead director at the theater in Wilhelmshaven. I wanted to stay closer to the Swiss border, but we are safe, so please try not to worry. Memories of our trips together keep me going. Biarritz in the sparkling Mediterranean, far from the brooding North Sea and the many warships now harbored here. I carry a bit of you inside of me, and will do so all my life. Just as you had wanted, I have become my own man. I move through this dark world with my eyes upon the possibility of an inner life. On the stage, Father, sometimes I feel I'm revealing both the chaos that destroys and truths that heal. What I do, I suppose, is not so very different from you. Please watch out for Dr. Death and the Crocodile. Love, Felix.
Dear Felix, you let her arrive just in time, and once again I am speeding along the tracks.
Dear Felix, your father is on the train to Orslingen-Locarno.
Even fishing with your grandpa Hans for a week was better than this.
He's been getting weaker and weaker, but he tried so hard to smile before he left.
I traveled this line decades ago on my way back from Tunisia. The little houses on Lake Maggiore, a fairy tale world after another magic land.
The day you were born, he was so very proud. I thought he could take off like a hot air balloon.
To his dying day, your grandfather never did approve of the course I took.
Me lying there half drugged up, and he could have just soared right into the sky.
But at least I am still moving, as I did through Italy, as I did through France. From point to point, the active line presses on until it makes a plane of space.
But who can predict what will happen next?
The energy can still be released, as long as people linger on the broken and mysterious worlds I have reimagined for them on canvas and paper.
We make our plans, and then we just have to take things as they come.
To see where the lines conflict and harmonize.
But your father never just waited for things to happen.
This morning, I saw the rails disappear in the distance, and someday I will set off towards that other horizon.
He's brought so much light into the lives of so many people, especially mine.
Like when I would take my paints, and we would hike together over the next green hill. Dear Felix, kiss your wife and baby for me.
Let's hope this war ends soon.
I hope to be home soon.
Dear Felix, it's strangely quiet here now that your father has gone to Locarno. You should see all the angels your father has made. Caught between this world and the next, none of them seem quite happy or whole. Do you remember how happy we were when we were little? Just to be together. Was there anything better than that?
A stained glass sunrise greets your promenade. See what for you was made. Father, mother, child, allied, hand to hand. From child to man, sun balancing upon a fingertip, greets your promenade. See what for you was made.
My days were taken up with young Felix, while Lily worked with her students. But I was very lucky. There is far more to learn from children than one might imagine.
Your shading is coming along good. But what exactly is this a picture of?
Uncle Ernst, of course. There, he's eating a piece of pie.
But I don't see Uncle Ernst at all.
Oh, Father, don't you know that Uncle Ernst has left the room for a moment to smoke a cigarette?
Of course. How could I have missed that? It's wonderful. Keep drawing.
Father,
Yes, son?
will Mother have time to join us for lunch?
I don't think so, Felix. She has this piano lesson to give, and another after that. Perhaps before the stars are out, she'll have time to talk us both.
What is it, Father?
Nothing. Just sometimes you remind me of myself when I was little.
You're a good boy.
Not particularly.
Oh, am I a good boy?
Not particularly.
Well, you don't like to spank me. Like the time I wouldn't stop crying on the train.
Well, you were feeling a little out of sorts that day, so...
So you let Mama spank me instead. Did Grandma ever spank you?
Once. But she broke her parasol.
She must have been really angry. I get angry with the other boys at school sometimes.
Do you? Why?
But they mock me and call me names because you take care of us and do all the cooking while Mother works. Leo's mother saw you last week at the market picking out vegetables, and she told Mrs. Hardman.
Well,
And then
they should understand. It's not easy these days to find good green beans for a fine casserole à la Provence. Ignore them.
Yes, Father, I will.
When Felix turned 9, I made him a number of puppets. He'd always been fascinated by the Punch and Judy shows, with the characters of Casserole and his wife Gretel. He'd stand mesmerized in the market square watching them, while I did the shopping.
I like this one the best. He makes me laugh, and he looks like you.
I think he's an acrobat.
Or maybe a tightrope walker.
Oh, good idea. Though I can't imagine how he'll cross the abyss without getting tangled up in his own strings. Here, you finish painting the face of this one. I have to finish darning these socks, or your mother will get angry later.
Yes, Father.
Oh, my dear friend, I am glad to see you again today.
Well, I am glad to see you too, but if we don't stop Settle from eating, we will have nothing for our dinner. I'm just so hungry. I was walking by the lake earlier, and the crocodile said he was going to make me his dinner. And I ran so fast to get away from him.
Made me very hungry.
Well, that doesn't mean you shouldn't leave something for us.
Well, then you better start eating.
Because I had a head start.
Who's there? Whoever it is, don't let them in. This is my field, and I will do as I please.
Well, maybe just this one time you should listen to him.
Sorry, but I've already opened the door.
Hello, fine people. Am I just in time for dinner? What are you cooking?
Too late, I'm afraid, Mr. Crocodile.
Settle here has eaten it all hard. Yes, he does look even better than he did before.
And perhaps you'd like a plate of greens. I'm afraid it's all we can afford at the moment.
Well, might be better for me, I suppose. Oh, can that be now? Does everyone want to dine with us tonight? No, don't answer it.
Too late again, I'm afraid.
Oh, no, Dr. Death!
Fine greetings on such a fine day. Mr. Crocodile, my friend, hasn't been drumming up much business for me lately.
Not for lack of trying, my good man.
Would you like some greens?
No, I don't think so. I thought I had an appointment. An appointment here?
I don't believe you do, or we would have heard.
Oh, but that is just like me, is it not? To come unannounced.
Well then, I suppose you would like to do an old parlor to me. The sofa in there is much more comfortable.
Don't mind if I do. Can't believe how sore my feet are these days.
Yes, of course, you can put them up. This way, please. That should do it for now.
Casperl, what did you do?
Oh, I just threw it down the cellar steps and locked the door. It seemed to cover the door. And soon we begged us to let him out, but I won't do it unless he promises not to burn us again for a very long time. If he tells anyone, I make a little wine sauce with butter.
Oh, I heard that. I'm as hungry, well, as hungry as a crocodile.
So you're just going to leave Dad lurking in the basement? Well, we was thinking of taking City Town later. We didn't want him to waste away, do we? Maybe nothing but skin and bones.
I took Felix to stay with my parents in Bern while I traveled through France with a new friend, the painter August Ma. August, who was younger than me, was easy to tease, but his paintings were luminous and assured beyond his years. We stopped in Paris and then crossed the Mediterranean, heading for Tunisia. Perhaps if we'd known that a terrible war, the First World War, was about to start in the Balkans and spread across Europe, we wouldn't have gone. But we managed to make our trip just in time.
All passengers accounted for, sir.
The spikes are pretty high! Are you feeling any better?
Yes, much. Those seasickness pills you gave me really worked.
I'm glad. How about those new paints you left our side?
No, I guess I haven't. I was almost sad to leave that harbor and all those lovely old houses.
They looked like they were about to fall down.
But a painter like Cézanne can make so much of them. All those angles and tilting shapes captured with hardly any lines.
Some say Cézanne's a bit nearsighted.
Perhaps, but he has so much to teach us about the underlying order of things.
And I've also heard that poor Degas is going blind.
That would be a shame. The Impressionists paint their entire being.
My friend, how else could one paint?
Well, I've heard Degas considers himself more of a realist. Monet pushes more at the margins, but doesn't always arrive at its destination. As for the Cubists, the structures they create are sometimes rather static.
Well, the same. You seem pretty interested in Picasso's work, even if you were too shy to visit him.
Was I? I said, learn what you can, and then move on. Though I really love the way Delaney uses color to express emotion, leaving realism behind to say something deeper.
I think I see the coast of Africa. Are you ready?
All my
life. There, in the city of Tunis, amidst the minarets and that amazing turquoise sky, the landscape in vivid life suddenly awoke in me fantastic dreams of color. The colors there, more subtle hued than in the starlight of my native Switzerland, struck me like a dream come to life. Points became lines, lines became movement, and color, transformed by light, became space opening up upon space. I only stayed in North Africa for about a week, but that was enough. I visited the ruins of Carthage, and on my last day I painted outside of an ancient walled city.
Before the gates of Kairouan,
on the edge of another land, at last I think I understand.
On the edge of another land.
Before the gates of Kairouan, the colors rise at my command. Translucent layers, shade on shade, watercolors that gleam like sand, the softest light within my hand, at the gates of Kairouan.
The softest light within my hand, the ground prepares inside the air.
Now at last I understand
How self and spirit become as one. Before the gates of Kairouan, in the distance a caravan plods in silence across the sand. A wall, a white dome, the horizon.
From the drum of a blind musician, notes rise of their own volition,
like the sun on Kairouan, playing what he only feels.
eyes attuned to an inner light, with his feet upon the sand.
Not stones, but colors sing my refrain, without lines to fix the basic form. Sketch what is, catch what will remain, before the gates of Kairouan. Now at last I understand, the city and the sky are
one.
At last, I have become the man I was always, always meant to be. With my feet upon the sand, all the steps that led me here,
to the gates of Kairouan. Eternity shrinks, time expands.
Still, I hear that blind musician.
The notes rise of their own volition,
Rise like the sun on Kairouan. I can never be alone.
when the universe is home, before the gates of Kairouan.
The next day, I started back alone to be with my family. As I stood on the ship about to embark from Palermo toward Naples, I heard the other passengers shouting goodbyes to their friends on shore. And I was so overwhelmed. I wanted to shout and show myself, but the words were stuck inside me. I saw a beautiful young woman looking at me as if she understood what I was feeling. And then I felt a stab around my heart. And so I turned my thoughts back toward home and my wife and son. After all, it was time I grow up a bit.
And so my story unfolds from point to point, as if the most glorious dreams and darkest imaginings of my life, from birth to blossoming, from decline to death, were lived in an instant. And any bits of color, whether the palest blue sky or the yellow curls of a child's hair, were like markers guiding me through the labyrinth. Would I ever find my way through? And would there ever be time to learn to express the confused jungle of all that I felt and thought and saw? Yes, someday would I ever become...
Paul Klee, you've gotten older.
August, old friend. You haven't aged a day. I was just looking the other morning at one of the paintings you gave me.
Were you? I'm glad. You've made a lot of progress since I saw you last.
And you've done such beautiful portraits of your wife. I don't think my Lily thinks that I have ever done her justice in quite the same way. Remember that lunch in Tunisia at that outdoor cafe where we shared a bottle of rather sweet wine?
It was more than one bottle.
And that cafe owner let all those chickens run wild around us. I never laughed so hard.
You nearly fell out of your chair.
Better than that time we were hiking in Switzerland and I fell down that waterfall. But I managed to survive just fine. But what are you doing here?
And why shouldn't I be?
Because you died in the war, remember? An artillery shell struck you.
I know. You don't have to remind me.
Ever since I heard about your death, and then about our dear Franz Marc being killed at Verdun, I cried for days. So many fine and creative men lost in this mad war.
I heard the military got their hands on you eventually.
How
Trade secret.
My own marching orders arrived the day that I heard that Franz had died. And if it wasn't for you and my wife Lily, I might be with you now. Lily talked to someone higher up who had the ear of royalty, and it seems that the king passed a decree after you and Franz died. No more artists on the front.
So they sent you to work as a clerk at an airplane hangar instead.
Yes, but I never would have wanted it to be a matter of you or me.
No, of course not. No. But really, I'm glad that the front was no place for man or beast. You were better off painting camouflage on airplane wings.
To hold off death just a little longer for some poor pilot I never met, while he flew through the endless ether, raining death down on others. Funny, just when I decided that my goal as an artist was to make the invisible visible, my job became to make the visible invisible.
It might be the same thing in the end. To find what is essential, we must pare away what is there. How else can we ever know what a soul looks like turned inside out?
I'm not sure I want to know what my soul looks like turned inside out.
It's not as bad as you might think. But paint what you feel, Paul. That's the way to make the spirit visible. You haven't forgotten me, have you?
No, never, August, never, I swear it. It's good to see you again.
Yes. Oh, yes. Do you remember how much I missed my wife and sons when we got to Tunisia? Only across the sea. Now, the divide is as wide as the night sky itself. Say hello to them for me, will you, Paul? And send them my love.
Of course I will. And remember me to Franz if you should see him. Goodbye, dear friend. Goodbye. Back in Munich, I tutored a couple of students, and then I was invited to teach at a new school called the Bauhaus in the German town of Weimar. I decided to stay out of the politics, which at first were about letting instincts rule the creative process, and then about rationality as an answer to the madness of the recent war. Could bringing the spirit into mass production make for a better world? It wasn't easy to predict how best to prepare for the future. Or so I wondered in my satiric drawings, like the two soothsayers conversing.
Hello!
Oh, it's you.
Yes, it is I. But surely you must have known, after all, you are a soothsayer.
Yes, and so are you. But I'm thinking of giving it up. You know what they say, there's no profit in the future.
Well, if that's the case, there's not much hope for us, is there?
Well, no one wants to know when things will go bad or when they're going to die.
All the same, it is Tuesday. Don't we often meet at this mountaintop on Tuesday to take in the view? You can see so far into the distance, especially on a clear day like today.
Maybe I don't want to see so far ahead. Anyway, I don't think it's that clear today at all.
It is to me. All too clear. You don't want to meet me here anymore.
How can I know if I want to meet you or not when I can't decide what I want for lunch? For soothsayers, everything seems so preordained that a chance to make a choice on something is just too much of a shock. I mean, don't you know what's going to happen to us in the end?
Yes and no. I know what is likely to happen, but the details, well, I try to keep them out of my mind.
Oh, you do prefer a cloudy sky.
No, a clear sky is good, but a mind not overly sure of things is better. Certainty is the worst enemy of romance, don't you think?
I don't know. I like to be able to count on some things.
Perhaps we do like a bit of order, but if there's too much, then there is no life.
And if there's too little?
Nothing can ever begin in the first place. So, where do you need to go tomorrow?
Down the road to see the new king. He wants to know if his wife will be faithful or not.
And what will you tell him?
Oh, what do you think? With a question like that, I usually say, "Dear sir, she will be at least as faithful as you."
A very good answer indeed.
Yes, it's best to keep one's head.
So next Tuesday then?
It's likely.
Absolutely.
It's in the cards.
It is in the stars.
It is in my
Come on, Father. Come on. My class starts in half an hour.
You go ahead if you want to, Felix.
I'll go and walk with you. I just have to tell Aaron Kaminsky why I'm with my theory of color class again.
I don't think you need to tell him. He lives in the same house with us. He knows my habits. Besides, he says you're doing well.
You mean I shouldn't work so hard?
No, I didn't say that.
Or I shouldn't try to be so much like you then?
Well, that is a different matter because, yes, I do think you should be yourself rather than me. Having two of us in one family would be rather difficult, especially for your mother.
I suppose so, Father.
I don't want you always getting compared to me. I've been starting to cast a ridiculously large shadow lately, and maybe you should become something besides an artist.
Didn't your father want you to be like him and become a musician?
Yes, but he didn't understand that the world has changed. What would you like to do?
Well, I've always liked working with the puppets, creating voices and characters. I think maybe the theater.
Ah, the theater. Motion, voices, shifts and shadows and tones. I should have known.
Is that a bad choice?
No, not at all. I could see you acting and directing, and maybe for the opera.
Thank you, Father. I know you like the opera too.
The grass is even higher this year. The strange is there's been less rain.
Maybe there's an underground stream nearby that nourishes the roots.
Could be. But I thought you were asleep while I practiced that lecture. Like most of my students. I wouldn't mind if their snores kept everyone up, if their snores woke everyone up laughing the way yours would be.
It seems to be something I'm good at, even when I'm sleeping.
What's that? A frog? I'm moving there.
Isn't it a frog?
No.
Oh, it's a snake! Is it the dangerous kind?
It's Martins, I don't think so.
But a snake can move really fast.
Ah, yes. A line that defies time and space. Almost as if it weren't moving at all, and then there it is. So, Herr Snake, how are you today?
Nothing answer you.
If he feels like it. The snakes are a bit like cats. They play their cards close to their chests.
Oh, you mean like Uncle Ernst, except he's all stomach.
Not very nice, Felix, but true.
I think I know what he wants to tell us, Father. You know, I listened to your lecture on the symbolism of animals, too. talking to both of us, Father, and isn't just trying to imply that you are old.
Well, thanks for the clarification. What is he saying?
So, my friends, I don't really stand for death, nor for sin, original or otherwise. The Egyptians surmised I could teach them something about immortality, or starting once again. They only had to observe the way I slough my skin. I am the source of all creation, starting with the sun god Ra. I have a special gift of healing, and I can even make the rain cascade down in showers from the skies.
We better hurry, Felix. We'll both be late for school.
Dear Paul, I hope things are going well for you and Felix at the Bauhaus. I'm starting to understand why your father was so stern and grumpy teaching all these years. I know you are happiest in your studio, your violin case open, pipe burning in an ashtray, the pursuit of something better than what you did before. I could be content with what I'm doing now, at the moment. I wish I was there with you. I miss our duets. My love to Felix. I can't wait to see you both when you're home again with me in a week. Love, Lily.
Hello? Hello, is anyone there?
Yes.
Oh, excuse me, but can I talk with you, please? You told me to come on.
Did I? Oh. Very well, then. I suppose I did.
Mr. Clay, I mean, Herr Professor.
Young woman, have you finally finished that assignment that was due yesterday?
No, I tried, but that's why I wanted to talk to you. I mixed chalk with the pigments like you asked, and I tapped on the canvas to let the vibration spread the chalk any which way. But it made everything look wind-blown like drifting specks of shimmering dust.
Is that so bad?
But I want to learn how to paint these to look like they'll last forever. Like that chair, to reproduce it so it is solid and real. You understand?
But are you so sure that what is solid, as you say, will last forever?
Oh, well, I thought so, but
But what?
I had to start somewhere.
Well, you're absolutely right. But to reproduce the appearance of an object may not be the way to make it live. What is it that creates the truth? Is it the colors? Is it the shapes? Or is it something that can only emerge when you wrestle with both instinct and memory?
Professor, I'm just not sure.
Neither am I. But think of the hours needed to make the frame and prepare the canvas, the care that goes into deciding the palette strategy for the work, and then the deliberate movement of the brush. The mind is always there, yes, but the heart even more so. But it all comes through the practiced hands that know more than the mind can carry the pulse to the canvas. That is where the image is born. We journey through a place of disconnection and loss, and so we have to try to bring back from that uncertain realm of experience something that can touch others, that can make them laugh, or maybe even heal them. That is what we do it for. That is how we know we are alive. That is how we reach them more profoundly. Do you see?
I don't know. Well, maybe a little.
Oh, good. That is an honest answer. Now go and do your own work with the same honesty. Don't worry about what I just said. Don't even think about it much.
Professor, do you think the new National Socialist government will close down our school?
Well, they've been trying to cut our funding. But I don't think those Nazis will ever make headway in a country like ours. Too many fine traditions of humanity. Even if lately it seems that many people are not as smart as they ought to be. And as for the worthless artists, as my father would have said, you'll never be fine, you dunderhead. You are so stupid that when you play the right note, you think it is an accident. Well, of course I'm not my father. But making the accidental necessary, that is the trick. So just keep playing.
Playing?
Yes, and drawing too. Now go on. I have important things I need to do of my own, like writing back to my wife and puppet shows with my son. Ready, Felix?
Ready. Are you ready?
Ready! Ready!
Maestro.
Ready!
In the beginning, there was no gravity.
No borders.
No boundaries.
Nothing adhered to anything else. Points waited in suspense for the dance of creation to begin.
Then all of a sudden, the stacked points gave way to line upon line.
They swerved and curved and began to define shapes.
Fluid boundaries were born.
Energy flowed into a balance of forces, a pendulum caught in the rhythm of mutual attraction.
The top, spinning out across the sky, avoiding meteors that are like orbits of planets. Shapes merged into one.
The world has begun. And soon, strange creatures streamed out of the Garden of Eden, while a new social order reconfigured the elements into new and unusual lines.
Yes, the energy of creation is now free, but no longer formless.
Spirals turn inward toward the finite and the end of all time.
While others turned out toward the infinite and endless renewal.
Flowers bloom that are like new green planets.
Stars fly like birds that are like dreams of tenderness and eternity.
All the colors gain a name.
And that name is longing.
Until, out of the music of the spheres, rise tones as pure as the light of the spectrum, and at last new machines of possibility, full of defiant hope, may someday emerge.
The sparrows in the trees, harnessed by the wind, impelled by the whim of a mad musician. Not insane, target to a weather vane, singing the skies, they trigger and twitter. Even when it rains, even when it rains. Tethered forever to that fortunate weather vane. The wind turns the crane, the musicians bellow encore, encore. They follow the score, imprinted on the leaves, sketched by the stars, and they sing once again, they sing once again. Twittering, twittering contentedly, even in the rain, even in the rain.
By 1925, the Bauhaus was forced to move to the town of Dessau, and despite the unpleasant smells from the local sugar factories, the school thrived. I decided it was best to move on, so I took a job teaching in Düsseldorf. But soon, the terrible political agendas that had afflicted our country spread there too. It started with me being struck from the list of acceptable painters. But how could you have done it? How? They could have arrested you or worse.
They didn't. And I your letters back and your paintings too.
But I could have lost you.
Those paintings will be our family heritage. You sometimes call them your children.
Yes, you crazy woman, but you are my wife. A man should not have to choose between his children and his wife.
You don't have to. Now you have them both.
Perhaps I will feel better when we see our real child again. You don't think those thugs will try to hurt him to get back at me, do you?
No, I already told him to say whatever he needs to say to keep himself safe. Maybe that was how you would feel too.
Good. You did the right thing. But to go into that office for these little pieces of paper, could the things I wrote when I was 23 really mean that much to you?
Yes, you fool. Yes.
But I was so young then.
So you didn't really mean those things. Eveline.
My Eveline. The one who would guide me and make me whole. Of course I meant them. But you were younger then too. Maybe you shouldn't have listened.
I tried, but you wore me down. Oh, we need to leave Germany as soon as we can.
If he has to say, I'm not sure I can go.
I have already started to arrange it.
Oh, you decided that as well. You could go without me.
But you're in Switzerland, with your father, without you there.
For a woman who is not afraid to do what you just did.
Those blockheads today, I gambled that they would have hurt me. But with your father, the danger's more that I would hurt him, and you would never forgive me for that.
I'm not so sure.
If anything were to happen to you here, I would never let you hear the end of it.
Not very logical, but I believe you.
You'll come with me then?
Yes. Very well. So we'll go.
So, Paul, I told you, you come running soon back to Bern.
Good to see you too, Father. That was 30 years ago you said that.
I think at my age, time doesn't mean much anymore. Lately, I felt more and more isolated here.
Perhaps because Mother is the only one that could put up with you.
Didn't stop you from returning to this house. There are still drawings you scribbled on the windowsill when you were little.
Well, don't worry, Hans. I promise I won't scribble on the windows. We'll find someplace else as soon as we can. I just need a space to paint.
I must have been expecting to change direction now, any more than Germany can.
They take my pictures out of museums, call me names, demand I prove my heritage. To stop now would be like saying that they've already won. What else can I do?
They won't let me teach anymore.
Well, they wouldn't let me teach anymore either, Father. I better go unpack. Lily is registering our residency with the city office, and I want to have the room ready for her. She suffered much too because of me.
So in the end, we have more in common.
Yes, maybe so. Lily and I found for ourselves a small apartment in Bern, but like my father, I felt increasingly isolated there. So I decided to turn back to my work. I'd always enjoyed painting several pictures at once, each using a different method so I could explore the endless tensions in the process of creation. Polyphony or chaos, counterpoint or broken rhythm, what can be divided and what must remain whole.
Start again, shall we?
Yes, please.
From the beginning, and remember this time legato, lightly as you go, and don't forget to play exactly as you feel.
But Maestro, what if what we each feel is different? Yes, that's exactly what I was wondering too, because...
But it doesn't matter because we're all connected, don't you see?
All the same, I don't know if
Never mind that. Now just play.
No, that's not it at all.
He's right. Let's try it again, shall we? This time, think of a calmer, quieter scene. Imagine yourself in the wind-swept deserts of Egypt. The pyramids are just catching the last light of dusk. Beyond them, carefully cultivated fields of wheat stretch all the way to the Nile. A thin, silver line in the distance. A strange, slender bird stands by the edge of the water on one leg and begins to sing. Now, begin.
No, that's not it either. What I seek is a new harmony, a new invention.
He's right. Let's try it again, shall we? We won't give up. We'll keep trying till the very end.
Hold on. That's it. Yes. Now wait. Here comes the night. There were times when the project of reshaping myself seemed beyond any plastic art. One second I was like a hawk soaring over the meadow. The next I was weighed down like Icarus with one leg and a broken arm. And still I kept flying closer to the sun. Ever since I was diagnosed with this disease, scleroderma, they call it, I become more and more trapped in my own body. I used to paint all night long, but now it is difficult for me to go out in the morning to the garden or to eat. They say that plants need to be deprived of nourishment in order to flower. Well, perhaps it is the same with me. So I continue to focus on the organic properties of my art. The heart, the mind, the imagination. I cannot let them grow paralyzed. Not that I am afraid of death, that coda to the natural order of things. No. What worries me most, for the sake of everything I love, is the brutal darkness that is growing over Europe. The Second World War I have seen in my life has nothing to do with the natural order of things, of renewal and rebirth. A demon puppet has become the puppeteer, and though everything is defined by its opposite, I can only hope this evil swiftly moves towards its demise.
Herr Klee, why do you want to be a citizen of Switzerland?
Because Switzerland is my home.
Your home? Haven't you always been a German citizen?
Yes, but I was born here.
But your father, your wife, and your son were all born in Germany, and your son still lives there, does he not?
I wouldn't allow the Nazis to bully me into signing allegiance to them. Do you think I would denounce my own family to you?
Well, we do have to consider what is best for our country.
Yes, I know. But
Why did you lose your job teaching in Dusseldorf?
you know why.
Why has your work been labeled as degenerate?
Again, you know why. In Germany, things have changed terribly.
Then why is it so poorly received here in Switzerland? Bree's reviews suggest that you paint like an ignorant child, have lost touch with reality, and have very little to say.
No, I have far too much to say and too little time to do it. I have not been very well lately.
How do we know you can even afford to live here? Your work has not been selling very well lately either, and we have more than enough artists already.
Yes. Did you really expect to be welcomed back with open arms? As if you belonged?
Paul Klee, where do you belong?
Where? Anywhere? Maybe anywhere but here.
Didn't you write you felt more at home in Egypt?
Alexandria, Cairo. Have you been reading my
We
diary?
have heard your mother's father was North African.
Tunis, Arab, Cairoan, the colors, the sky, the sands.
Or maybe even a Jew.
I don't see how that would make any difference to anything whatsoever.
Didn't you feel at home in Italy? Perhaps we should go there.
Florence, Rome, yes, full of art, but the port of Genoa was so alive.
Seems you belong everywhere and nowhere.
No! just that I've been most attuned to the realm of the unborn and already dead. And I suppose in the end I will return to my true home, beyond time.
Where a man belongs is not a metaphysical question.
It is to me. I just need some clarity in the matter, please.
Paul. There is no certainty in anything. Try living life one day at a time like everyone else. Why keep analyzing it and annotating your methods as if you could ensure the future?
I may seem calm standing in my easel, but inside I am often terrified. The worlds I imagine for myself are also for this country and every other one too. You may not understand that now.
Leave the world the way it is, Paul, and let the process continue.
I have never been one to stand in the way of a process.
Just be grateful that you are here at all.
For that, I have always been grateful. Nature is not dumb.
You'd not be very smart to think so.
It finds its voice one way or another, even when it thinks it might be lost.
Out on the lonely moor.
Where the lonely crier likes to stroll.
Far from the bustle and noise of people at the market.
He stands on the hillside.
Above the fields of gorse.
And does what?
Does what?
Why cries out, of course.
With the voice of the wildflowers.
And the voice of the deer.
The voice of the rabbits who hide in the grass.
He calls love struck to the sun.
At the edge of the night.
He calls to the moon.
Till the stars fade from sight.
Dear Lily.
The man who never stopped telling you about everything he saw or read had gradually been losing the power to speak. His face became like the otherworldly tragic masks of the ancient Greeks, amplifying their voices while they intoned the flaws that caused divine vengeance upon generations of the family, until perhaps
A moment of redemption. But it had become more of a struggle for him even to move his mouth, as if he was a comic, tragic actor. Foolish and dumb, the sounds lost within his throat.
the sweet and extended notes he once played on the violin silenced forever. But like the words, the music vibrated still through his veins. It emerged from his fingertips when he painted.
And so he continued to move from point to point until lines became shapes, and color became light, and figures hovered in a space between the known and unknown.
Being ambidextrous, he would draw with both hands, as if he kept splitting himself again
And again.
to get as much done as possible.
He needed that now more than anything. Too much energy in this universe of ours. Never enough time.
People say, Paul, when are you going to settle on one style? I tell them, everything I do is Paul Klee. Nature itself becomes Paul Klee when I recreate the world on a piece of paper.
These days, I wonder where Paul goes when he's sleeping. Sometimes dreams make him smile despite the pain he's in. Where are you now, Paul? Where do you go when you dream?
Paul, do what your father says.
That one's mine, Paul. I said, that one's mine.
Hurry up, Paul. You'll be late for school.
Did you practice today? Your violin is gathering dust again.
The clock's ticking.
Church bell is tolling.
The tide of the river coming in.
My father's snoring in the next room.
The sun on the windowsills shimmering.
The moon on the window pane glimmering.
My mother playing the piano. My father's psh when he sees me making faces in the mirror. My sister's schooling, laying too much of the bread at breakfast.
The sturdy houses of fur, as if they had grown right there inside the riverbank.
The bell in the clock tower.
Ringing, ringing.
The clock ticking. Calling.
Paul,
Paul.
Paul,
Paul.
Paul?
Lily, are you sorry you married me?
Of course I'm not sorry.
Even though you have to look after me now like I am a child.
You have always been a child. When the mind will open, time's up.
Perhaps you are right.
I always said you needed a mother.
But can you still love me when I am like this?
Of course I love you. You're Paul Klee.
I wasn't when we first met. You took a big chance.
It's not exactly as if I rushed into it.
You were less afraid of rushing into my arms.
Yes, even if my father found out. Then, we're just in Paul. I can't imagine my world anywhere. The universe still gleaming at night. Without you.
Maybe that is not such a good thing.
Maybe not. Oh, Paul. Those two flowers there, side by side. So they glow so wonderfully.
Yes, I think that one is nearly done.
Come on, I think you need to rest before the train ride tomorrow.
Just one more line here to hold them all in place. And then, yes, rest.
All these years, it's been you and me, linked together like notes in a chord, or simultaneous seconds, winking at eternity. All these years, it's been you and me, linked
It's been you
together,
and me, linked together, like notes in a chord, or simultaneous seconds, winking at eternity. All these years, it's been you and me, linked together like notes in a chord, or simultaneous seconds, winking at